G'day, guys. Welcome back to Statchat Sports. Steve and Tazza on the line. Quick apology right off the top. A little bit of an impromptu holiday taken over the last couple of weeks. It's been probably about what's it been, about 2 or 3 weeks since our last upload during the World Cup. But busy period over the Christmas and New Year. So we decided to take a little break. But we're back into the swing of it now. Bring in the weekly football podcasts as per usual. So I'll have the floor just quickly to start us off. About some news that broke this morning that I saw, and a retirement on the hands. Gareth Bale, calling it early age. Well, I say early, he's 33 years of age, but I'd say for someone that was at the peak of his career, probably only 2 years ago, say. He's decided to call it quits.
Yeah, I mean, once regarded as one of the Galacticos, really, at Real Madrid, you expect these guys to play well on into their 30s. I thought this was quite, it was quite sudden, quite odd. Talked to a few of the guys, a few of my mates, and sort of just seemed like it came out of nowhere. And but I mean, it was, I think, with the money that obviously like Madrid invested, they would have hoped that he had played well into his 30s, but it didn't work out that way. He wasn't liking the surroundings. Obviously, he went to LAFC, and maybe the payday he received there was enough, and yeah, he's out.
Yeah, well, his career sort of dipped like really quickly. Like, within the space of sort of 12 months, he'd gone from, the star player at Real Madrid to sort of almost being pushed aside. And, obviously he had the whole golf thing that was going on as well, which, probably had something to do with it. But, and really from there, it was never the same. Even the move back to Tottenham on loan didn't do much to him. Didn't do much for his career in terms of revitalizing it. So I suppose he was happy to call it quits and continue playing golf, I suppose, from here on out.
So did CR7 have any? He surely had an effect on his career. I mean, Madrid was Cristiano Ronaldo for the good part of, I'm going to say almost a decade. So
maybe. I mean, if you look at it like from the minute Gareth Bale joined, it was what was it, BBC versus MSN, Bale, Benzema and Cristiano. So maybe when he left, or when Ronaldo left, that it sort of tarnished things a bit. But I don't know. I think his attitude towards it as well probably had a part to play. Whether that was like his attitude was a result of the culture around the club, or vice versa, the sort of treatment he received from Real Madrid was because of his attitude. I don't know, but that's probably the main reason. Call it. I say the Ronaldo effect to a degree.
Well, yeah, maybe it's not the Ronaldo effect. Maybe it's more the Madrid effect. And I genuinely believe had he gone to a different sort of top level club, I mean, we know that Madrid fans can be quite fickle. I mean, it doesn't take much for their fans as much as they want to idolize someone. It doesn't take a hell of a lot for them to turn on their fans. They're quite vocal in letting the players know that they're not really on their side. So I genuinely believe he'd still be playing, and probably at a decent level, had he gone to a different club, say Bayern Munich or something, or had he stayed at Tottenham, I reckon he'd still be there 100%, and probably still bagging in goals like he was. I mean, he was one of the most electric players we've seen in the Premier League in the last 20 years. It's the season, or the form that got him that move to Madrid. It was unreal.
And having said that, he had spent 9 years there. Probably didn't play as many games as what he would have liked, with a few injuries and stuff like that. But he was at the top of his game there, and there's more than one moment for them that, Gareth Bale moment, his overhead kick against Liverpool in the Champions League final, probably the goal he's most famous for. I think it was in the Copa del Rey final, run down the line against Barcelona, Marc Bartra, where he basically just ran off the field to score the goal. So you know what I mean? Like he created his moments. He did what he needed to do during his time there. So yeah, he'll look back on his career with no regrets, no doubt about that. So yeah, he can go and enjoy his retirement life now.
Yeah, and I mean he's sort of taken Wales to probably unprecedented success from their point of view. They hadn't reached the heights. I mean, they haven't won trophies, but they have reached heights that maybe Wales haven't reached in quite a while. So I'm sure he can take that sort of and be proud of that at the same time as well.
Yeah, it's 6-time Welsh Footballer of the Year, which is not hard to see. 111 caps. You know, he got to make an appearance at the World Cup, and just gone. So, yeah, it was probably time for him to go.
Yeah. On the subject of Ronaldo, we've obviously seen his move to Al Nassr in the Saudi Arabian League. I did happen to see today as well, Marco Reus, the beloved Borussia Dortmund attacker there, hasn't ruled out a move. He's 33, coming down to the end of his contract. What do you reckon? Are we about to see an influx, or probably an outflux of players from the top 5 leagues really making a move to Saudi Arabia and chasing all the cash that they have to offer?
Possibly, Saudi Arabia could become the new China, like Chinese league in a way. That everyone went to China a few years ago for the money. It could now be that same thing in Saudi Arabia. I mean, you see the effect that Ronaldo had. I mean, Instagram doesn't mean everything, but I mean, he basically more than I don't have the figures in front of me, but I think he took him from like 800,000 to like 8.1 million followers or something like that, like not long after he joined the club. So yeah, I think we can see it becoming the new Chinese league, really, with players sort of going there for the money at the tail end of their career as well. But yeah, I'm surprised with Marco Reus. I kind of thought that he would have been the type of player to sort of end his career at Dortmund, maybe, because he's been there for so long, and the club captain, even though he's been through so many injuries, he still stays around, and he still gets played when he's fit. So yeah, I'm a little bit surprised, but at that.
Yeah, I mean, this Saudi league is basically the Chinese league on steroids. They've got 10 times the money. I mean, we saw the money being thrown out of China was mouthwatering. But this is just different. This is on a whole different scale. It's people love to use the term sports washing, but it's here to stay. I mean, this is what all the rich guys and girls in the world are going to do. They're going to pour it into. This is the biggest form of entertainment. It's the biggest sport in the world. So why wouldn't they pour all their money into seeing the best players? Well, especially in terms of Cristiano Ronaldo, the best players that we've seen in the last, almost in the sport. Why wouldn't they spend their money on bringing them and just creating a whole new spectacle? But yeah, like I said, sports washing or not, I think we've got to deal with it. We are going to see a lot of guys. I mean, not that he's the household name, but I'm pretty sure Vincent Abubakar is also Al Nassr. So that's not actually a bad strike force.
He's not. I don't know if you've seen, but they had to. I don't know if it's true or not, but I've seen multiple things on it. They had to terminate his contract to basically sign on Ronaldo, because I think you can only have a certain amount of international players in the club. So he had to go. They got rid of it. And again, not 100% sure if it's true, but they also terminated the contract of the player that was currently wearing the number 7 shirt because he didn't want to give it up.
Wow. Yeah, look, that's I don't like that at all.
Yeah.
I mean, there's clearly no. This is purely entertainment. You're moving just completely into an entertainment sphere. There's no loyalty. They're clearly not trying to build a team up. And there's a mentality of certain leagues to try and nurture talent in their country for the better of the game in the country that they, especially I feel in Australia, it's probably a little bit Not that they're much good at producing talent, but they're trying. They're trying something, and they are trying to promote youth in their own country. But this is clearly the opposite. This if you just I don't know who the bloke is. He could be awful. He could be the worst football player I've ever seen. So I'm not really speaking from much knowledge here, but it's not a move that looks great.
No, absolutely not. I didn't like it when I saw it. That's just like, it's just bad. It just looks bad on behalf of the club. Like, you're being tossed aside. Like, as a player, you're literally being tossed aside to make way for somebody else just because they're a bigger superstar than you. Like you said, it's purely entertainment based, and they've invested a lot of money in him due to his contract and stuff like that. So they're looking to get that back through the ticket sales and all that sort of stuff. So people want to go to see Cristiano Ronaldo. They don't want to go to see Vincent and Abubakar. So on your bike, we'll see you later.
Yeah, I'm looking at their squad. It gets a bit. I mean, they've got some half decent players in this squad. David Ospina, the Colombian goalkeeper. Luis Gustavo, who I believe played for Bayern for a little bit.
Bayern and Wolfsburg.
Yeah. Anderson, is it Talisca?
Yeah.
Ex-Japanese league. Yeah, so he's one that definitely
is money chasing.
Absolutely, yeah. And then Abubakar's still listed, but I don't know what the situation is there. But
yeah,
there's clearly a movement there. You can say from Talisca that the money talks. So he's abandoned. There was a fair bit of promise in him, I think, sort of going back a few years ago. I think he played at Benfica.
I'm pretty sure you're right.
Yeah, and there was promise, definitely, and it was touted for moves all over the world. But this is what we're going to have to get used to, I think, for the next few decades and probably even longer. The way it's going, I think we're going to get used to seeing talent just disappear off the radar, or maybe it won't disappear off the radar. Maybe the Saudi League becomes the new Premier League. We don't know, but it's going to change. No, that's definitely an overreaction.
Hey, while we're on the topic of money, did you see Man United's and also I think it was Ten Hag that tried to enforce the rule? It's what they're referring to as the Ronaldo rule at Man United now in terms of the wage cap.
I hadn't seen it. No.
So I thought it was just a proposed thing by Ten Hag, but having read up on it, it looks like it's actually something that they are going to go ahead with to avoid culture clashes between players in the dressing room. They're setting a £200,000 a week salary cap across the board for all players. So anyone that's currently above that at the end of the season will then be brought back down to that $200,000 or £200,000 a week wage to avoid having those massive splits between players. Like I think Ronaldo was on $500,000 a week there, and like De Gea, I think De Gea's on 375. Guys like Casemiro, Maguire, Varane, they're all above 200,000, so they're all going to have to come down. I think this needs to be a rule in every club. This is like not just something in Man United. This needs to be a Premier League thing, or not just a Premier League, but worldwide club thing in general, because that is, for me, that's quite literally the perfect way of going by that.
Absolutely. This is going completely against what we were talking about with the whole sports washing business. This is exactly how football should be. It's almost like they're introducing, well, really it is. It's a salary cap. It's probably the best way that teams can enforce. Like it or not, we're never going to see a salary cap in football, professional football. It just won't happen. No. There's too much money. There's too much floating around for there to be a salary cap. But for someone like Ten Hag to impose this on a side like United, who have previously been huge spenders, I love it. I reckon it's a great move, and teams have had loose sort of wage structures. I know Liverpool have had sort of, they've never mentioned a number, but they've always said that put the team before the individual, and we'll never sign anyone over this X number. We don't know what it is, but to come out and sort of mention a number like that, and you can see what Ten Hag's building. It's actually quite frustrating, considering, well, I mean, our team and United are just heading in two different directions, but he is building something great there, and you can see that there's belief in that team. So introducing something like this only, I think, galvanizes that. They obviously want to. If you want to buy into a team that's doing well, you've got to be putting the team first and basically taking a set amount of money. I mean, 200K a week is pretty damn good. I mean, things I'd do for 200K a week, but yeah, I mean, if you want success, which United are clearly building, you've got to take that cut. The bigger players are going to have to take the cut, but it's all about the team.
Yeah, I think maybe potentially in the short run it could cause some trouble, maybe damage a few things. You know, if guys like, De Gea, who's, I think his contract is up in the summer anyway, if he, wants to re-sign but doesn't want to take a pay cut, he'll go. And some of these others that are above that line, if they don't want to drop, then are they going to be forced to be moved on, sort of thing? They might lose a couple of players. I don't know exactly how many players they have on their books that are earning more than 200K a week, but there'd be a few. But on the other side of that, any future signings that come in, they're signing for the project and signing for, the club. They're not coming no longer for money. Whereas for the last 10 or so years, however long it's been since Ferguson left, there's been no success at Man United, and everyone knows that. It's not that's not a dig, I suppose, because we're Liverpool fans. There's been no success at their club, so any sort of major key signing or anything like that has almost been looked at because they're getting paid the good money. Do you think Ronaldo would have gone back to United if he was given a 200K a week salary? No chance.
Not a chance.
Not a chance. No. So, I think this is only a good thing, and I might be a bit hopeful, but if in the future this shows that it's paid off, really, really well, we might start to see other clubs implement something similar. But the way I can look at it, that's only a positive thing. For United, they're the only ones doing it, obviously. So, and it could be a potential change of things to come in the Premier League.
This is probably the one and only reason I'd want United to do well. It's because I love the system that they're implementing, and I would hope that it would spread further. So,
yeah,
I mean, never thought I'd say it, but if it does work for them, then I think teams are going to be forced to abandon taking players with egos, or they're going to be forced to shed the egos to want to play in a successful team. So, on the wages, I mean, I don't know how spot on this is, but there are 6 blokes at United who are currently on more than 200K.
Yeah.
De Gea. I won't mention the salaries, but there's De Gea, Sancho, Varane, Casemiro, Martial, and Bruno Fernandes.
Yeah. Okay.
So that's it's the core of their team. I mean, 6 players over 200. That's a lot. I mean,
Ronaldo
Anthony
was on
sits,
500,000. Who's gone now?
Yeah, Anthony sits right on the bubble.
Yeah. Okay.
So, yeah, there's some pretty important players there. I mean, Sancho sits. I mean, apparently he's earning 350K a week at 21 years old.
And to be fair, what is he doing at the moment?
He's not doing anything, is he? He's out, isn't he? He's basically hasn't he taken a leave of absence essentially?
Possibly, I don't know about that. Don't know.
I'm not sure. I just haven't seen him in the team. I thought he was dealing with some mental health issues or something like that, which,
Yeah.
I mean, if he is, all the best to him. But yeah, that's the risk you run with these kind of things, taking on young players who are adjusting to a new team. I mean, it's not a new country. He was coming. He's an Englishman returning to England, so that should help, you'd think. But it's a new league. It's the expectations of playing for Manchester United. That's the risk you run by paying this much money. So, like I've said before, this whole wage cap that's been proposed is a good idea.
Let's talk Liverpool. We like to talk Liverpool on the channel because we are two Liverpool supporters, but this is more so on the defence of our opponents in the FA Cup. It's something that's been talked about ever since it happened, really. The offside decision that was given ruled out Wolves' winner in the FA Cup a couple of days ago, or on the weekend just been, and just utter confusion in terms of how the goal was actually disallowed. I've heard a few different things that, they're the angle of the VAR cameras or something like that. They didn't have a proper angle of the player that was. I don't know. I can't even explain it because I don't even know what's going on. But basically, it was inconclusive to overturn the decision, so they stuck with the on-field decision, which was offside. And no matter which way you look at it, it seems like they've got the decision wrong, and the match now goes to a replay when it probably really shouldn't have.
Oh, I mean, take away VAR, the match shouldn't be a replay. It's Wolves fully deserve to win that game. But I mean, with all the money we pump into this sport, how do we not have a functioning system, a fully flawless system? I mean, VAR's been in here long enough that we should have these things ironed out. Sorry, it's been too long with all these mistakes and mishaps. I mean, for Wolves to have knocked out Liverpool would have been a big deal. Wolves haven't had a hell of a lot of success this season so far in the league, definitely. So to bundle out Liverpool at Anfield would have been a big deal. Yeah, it's costing teams money. I mean, to be honest, no, Wolves will probably make money because they get a replay at Molineux. So
yeah, true. Yeah,
they're probably, as much as they want to win, they're going to make some money out of it. So it's not so bad. And to be honest, they'll probably roll Liverpool there. But yeah, I don't know how we're still stuffing around with this. And everyone, bar Liverpool supporters, have the right to be pretty just confused. I think we shouldn't be doing this anymore.
I think there's a lot of Liverpool supporters out there that are all saying the same thing. They can wholeheartedly hold their hands up and say we don't deserve to be in the competition at the moment, which the goal should have stood. I don't think I haven't seen anyone sort of say, oh yeah, no, that's definitely the correct decision or anything like that. So I don't know. Whatever they were using in the World Cup in terms of VAR, to determine offsides and stuff like that, the little animation or whatever that ended up going up on the screen, that all seemed to be computerized and not necessarily done by cameras or anything like that. I think it was done by the ball from memory. I don't know. That seemed to work perfectly, and bar I think one potential, sort of hiccup, I think in the World Cup, it seemed to work perfectly. So works a lot better than what is currently going on anyway. And if that was in, it probably would have got this decision right, and we would be talking about this. But yeah, look, it's how long's VAR been in the game now? 3-4 years, maybe.
Easily,
talking
surely
about it.
Yeah, no, we're long past doing this. It was such a controversial thing, and I think what everyone wanted was just, let's get it right. If we're going to do this, do it properly. So how have we gone this long and we're still getting things wrong? We might as well just be going back to, why have this technology here if we can't get it 100% right?
exactly. And I mean, without VAR, you look at it and go, "Oh, that's just a poor refereeing decision." But at the end of the day, there's people in charge of the VAR as well. So instead of the decision lying on the linesman, it now goes down to the guys in the back of the van looking at the footage. So yeah, I don't know. 4 years down the track, I don't know how it hasn't been sorted out yet. But yeah, not a great look for VAR. Let's round this off, Tazza, just quickly. We're pretty much at about the halfway line of the Premier League season. So, and it's looking like it's probably going to be a 2-horse race between Arsenal and City. So, to take a quick look of where they're both at the moment, and the likelihood, I suppose, of Arsenal beating City to the title. For me, I think Arsenal fans can begin to believe. I mean, they've 17 games to go. They've only got City and Everton to play, and then they've played everyone. I think they've got Everton next week, and then I'm not sure when their City catch-up game was, because that was a game that was postponed earlier in the season. I think at that point, obviously, we'll see a lot, and we'll be able to sort of maybe make a few more predictions as to where they'll end up. I think for me, if they can get through those 2 City games without losing, I think what's the gap at the moment? 5 points. So that's a decent gap. It's it's a game and a half, if you want to call it that. If they can get through the City game without losing, 2 draws, or if they can snag one and like draw the other, I think they got it. I think they've got it because you look back at everybody else that they've played, they've beaten them all. Besides, was Man United was the only team to beat
United.
And their 2 draws, I think one came against Southampton, I think, and I can't remember off the top of my head who the other one was against. But I think it was sort of that.
It only just happened, didn't it?
It did. You're right, Newcastle. So that's fair. Newcastle are a top 4 side at the moment, but that Southampton one you can be seen as a slip up. It happens. So, if they can get past, the Man City speed bump, and avoid as many hiccups along the way as possible, sounds easy to say, but I think they've got it.
Yeah, I think the thing that's impressed me, the Arsenal of old, you just that succumb to the lower table teams, and they just roll over. And just be this one game where it's just bang 2-0 and don't get a look in or whatever. But they're steamrolling teams. They look so convincing, and I expected this to kind of fall apart a little bit earlier, but it's not. And we just talked about Newcastle. Newcastle, good team. Southampton, I mean, we're halfway through the fixtures and they've only really dropped one of those lower table team games.
Yeah.
Where everyone else around them has dropped more. So, yeah, like I said, these Arsenal City games are going to be pivotal, as they always are for the league race. And even this week's set of fixtures, Arsenal go to Spurs. They go to Spurs or they're playing Spurs?
Yeah, they go away. Yeah.
Yeah. And then City have got United.
Yeah.
So it's huge week of fixtures. I mean, in the form that United's in, I mean, this is the best chance they've had in a long time to really take it up to City. Or,
that's true. Yeah.
It's the best United side we've seen for a while to come against City. So, I mean, there's no reason why Arsenal, the way they're playing, should get over Tottenham.
I would suggest the same. Yeah,
you would, yeah. And I mean, yeah, United are every shot of beating City, so we could be seeing even more of a gap being put in. And let's not forget the stat of teams that have get to Christmas and win. I mean, I think the only ones that don't win are Liverpool.
Yeah.
So they're the only ones that seem to falter. So, I mean, if you're not Liverpool and you're winning the league, or if you're in top of the league at Christmas or New Year, you're good. So, I mean, why can't they win? Yeah.
And how would that would have to rank up there in terms of one of the better, more impressive triumphs of a Premier League winner, because no one. I mean, I don't think anyone expected Arsenal this year to be making a push for the title. You know, a solid push for top four, yeah, but not a push for the title. And you know, well, I was going to say maybe partly so to a couple of the their other rivals, you know, slipping at the hurdles. But I mean, you can't really use that as an excuse because they're top. It'd be different if they were fighting for, you know, the top four, but you know they're fighting for top spots. So it's all on off their own backs, and Arteta's got them clicking. So yeah, I mean, he's brought like Granit Xhaka, who you would have thought maybe 2 years ago his career at Arsenal was finished. Given some,
he was on the scrap heap.
Yeah, absolutely. Given the antics that he was performing there, you know, and he got rid of the likes of Aubameyang and stuff like that, who was their captain or their leader, and you know, seen as their you know their best goal scorer. But there was obviously some poison within the dressing room, so away he goes, and you know they're kind of like united with their issues within the dressing room. That seems to have been sorted now, and we're seeing that reflect on the pitch because you know they're all they're fighting for each other. You know, they're games like the Liverpool game that they played when they came away 3-2 winners, a game where they pushed that much to their limits. You know, maybe a year, 2-3 years ago, you'd see them fold and pick up a point or maybe lose it, but you know, they've got that sort of winning mentality, and at the moment, that I think is enough to see them go all the way, especially because City this season, as much as they're firing up front and stuff like that, we've seen them slip up, you know, here and there, a couple of draws and some losses against teams that they would normally be beating. So at the moment, it seems like City are more likely to drop points than Arsenal. So yeah, like you said, we could be seeing the gap go even further. And I think I want to say it's about 2 or 3 weeks away before they play each other. So depending on what happens between now and then, you know, it could be an 8, could be an 11-point gap.
Yeah. I think a lot of credit's got to go to Arteta for this team. He's got the best out of guys like Odegaard, whose career's kind of probably spluttered a bit. It hasn't hit the heights that we may have expected early on. Nurtured talent of guys like Bukayo Saka, Emil Smith-Rowe, Saliba. They've really got these guys all humming at the same time. Like I said, brought back Xhaka from the scrap heap when he looked like he was finished. And I mean, it's all just come together perfectly for him. And a lot of people called for Arteta to be gone when Arsenal just couldn't get off the ground. But they stuck fat with him, and look where they are now. They're laughing.
Yeah. Well, let's wrap it up there. It's about that time, but thanks everyone for joining us. Good to be back after a couple of weeks off, but yeah, now the weekly podcasts come back as of now. But yeah, thanks for joining us. We're closing in on 12 months on YouTube, which has been pretty crazy. It's come along very, very fast, but hopefully you've enjoyed a slightly different format of the podcast as well. You know, more so of a general chit chat. Hopefully engaging you guys a little bit more in terms of discussions on the stuff that we've spoken about. But that'll wrap us up. Tazza, will see you next week. Appreciate you guys. Cheers.